Welcome everyone to the Blockchain Ireland Summit 2025 on-site podcast, brought to you by Provenance. My name is Sebastian, and I'm the co-chair of the Events and Communications Working Group here at Blockchain Ireland. Our first guest for today is Juan Carlos Reyes. He is the President and Executive Director of the National Commission of Digital Assets in El Salvador, and he gave us a very great overview of the country, what has happened, and what the regulator has done so far. Welcome.
Thank you.
Juan Carlos. Perfect. To start with a very simple question, what brought you to Blockchain Ireland Summit?
Ireland has always been in the radar and when it comes to tech industry. And recently we had Lori come to be a presenter at the Salvadorian Digital Asset Symposium. And what he shared with us piqued my interest. I was very interested in seeing how Ireland was advancing and what they were doing to embrace blockchain technology. So I wanted to come see firsthand. It's fantastic. I mean, Irish people all over the world have set presence. I mean, there's Irish pubs anywhere in the world, and very industrious people, and I wanted to see it firsthand. So
Amazing,
that's what
yeah.
attracted me.
What are you looking forward in terms of the conference? What are you hoping to get from being here and listening to the others?
I think our president Nayib Bukele has set a message and a vision for the government, and one of the visions is that if we can help from our experience and we can share our expertise, we should do that globally. So I mean, having a country like El Salvador come from troubled history to now leading digital assets, I think it's an opportunity for us to share a lot of what we've done with other countries, and Ireland being one of top global technology hubs. I think it'd be important for us to have a communication.
Yeah, and you've really shared this journey so well in your presentation of coming from a war-torn country and in really a span of a very short time to now being one of the biggest regulators in the world and at the forefront of that. We've been here for a couple of hours now. What is one of the people or ideas or topics that struck you so far that was interesting?
When you come globally, there's two regulators that are independent when it comes to digital assets, and having an opportunity to listen to Deepa Raha Carbon from Dubai, from Vara. It's fantastic. It's a visionary that understands what it takes to merge and adapt to new technologies, and the fact that you can't fit a square peg into a circle. It's that complicated to change the mentalities. One of the things I wrote an article after my first year as president of the commission, and I think it was a message to understand the greatest challenge we have in the industry. And I explained it today. I said, if you were to buy an electric car tomorrow, to you it's just an electric car. But if you bring that electric car to your mechanic's going to have a heart attack. Within the same lines, a traditional financial instrument, it's something that the traditional financial regulator has done for years. They have tools to manage that. But for us, we all think that digital assets are financial instruments. But for the regulator, it is a shocking experience because it's technology, it's blockchain, it's software, smart contracts, something completely different. It's not what the traditional regulator and supervisor is used to. Hence, Vara sees it that way. El Salvador, through the adoption of Bitcoin, we learn that this is not a regular financial instrument. Hence, we created the National Commission of Digital Assets in order to supervise and regulate digital assets.
And it was really great to see that through line from your presentation to Deepa's chat of a square peg doesn't fit into a round hole, and making sure that you're creating a new paradigm almost for regulation to make sure that you can kind of address this virtual asset. You're leading really nicely into the next question. So the commission was set up in 2023, or when you joined it. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But what are you looking forward to for this year? What are you looking to accomplish with the commission? What are the goals for 2025?
Yeah, so 2025 goals, we wanted to expand the regulation and supervision to a global stage by collaborating with the largest players in the world and finding out what was missing in order for them to do this business with clarity. One of the persons that I admire from the States is Commissioner Pierce from the SEC. And in one of her chats, she says, I wish there was a way for us to give you some clarity so you wouldn't have to spend half of your time figure out how you're not going to go to jail. And this is something that Deepa alluded to, is that, the rules now have been implemented, and what you've done now, it's a crime. And now, sadly, you're going to go to jail. And it's happened to many industry people that created a product, which was innovation. But this product did leave access for people to take advantage of it, to launder money, to move stolen goods all over the place, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've done is understand where the industry is going, appreciate the global rules, and apply an ecosystem that attracts the players that are here for long term. But at the same time, we do work with innovators. We do want to attract, if you think about regulation, how it detracts or holds back innovation, that's something that's very present in our vision, that we want to find out how do we work with innovators and create rules for them to ensure that regulation and supervision become part of their success story.
And I think that's so crucial. That's what we've been seeing in Ireland as well, is the involving the innovators in the actual regulatory process. So you learn with each other in that sense. How are you planning on doing that? Do you have any specific plans that are already in place for this year?
Yeah, we do. We have so the commission, we're regulators. Regulators are very, very square when it comes to what we're allowed to do, what we can do. We have a law and regulation built around the law, and supervision to ensure that that regulation gets fulfilled. And that's our job as regulators. However, what the Digital Assets Commission has done is created the Center of Innovation of Digital Assets, which is our sister organization. And one of the things that we want to do through there is create sandboxes for anyone in the world to come and try your technology with clear regulation of what it is that you're allowed to do. Attending and being invited to many of the events, one of the events that I attended last year was something called Crypto 2030. And I told my friend, the organizer, I said, listen, I don't know how many of these companies are going to want to hear from a regulator, but it blew my mind that every single company there was trying to figure out, what do we need to do this right? And that's the importance of regulation and supervision. The industry wants to get this right. It's just nobody is opening the doors for them to know what the rules are.
Yeah, clarity. We're coming back to that word and the importance of that word. Yeah. Shifting the conversation a little bit, you're a big Bitcoiner yourself. There's a lot of hype in the industry and in the space. From your experience, in your position, what do you think has real road traction in blockchain technology? What do you think is hype at this stage?
I think, for El Salvador, we created a risk matrix based on that specific question, is where is the industry going? And if you look at, even 2 years ago now, the Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, and all the big players, they estimated that the tokenization of real world asset was going to be worth anywhere between $15 to $20 trillion by the end of 2030. And I'm a believer of that. I'm a believer of understanding how the blockchain technology can come and transparently create access to markets that didn't exist in the past. So for us in El Salvador, a big emphasis is real world asset tokenization. At the same time, globally, I think that if we don't have ways for the exchanges to operate properly, we are opening the market for illegal use or illegal activity, use of cryptocurrencies. For example, you have the Bybit hack, which, we can trace where the coins are at. We can trace thousands of Bitcoins that They're waiting for them to move to see how they're going to off-ramp into money. But you can only trace that if it goes through an exchange. Once it starts going into a peer-to-peer market, and this is my biggest fear when you have a very strict regulator that creates very strong rules, you're forcing the street market to grow, and the street market can sell a lot of illegal things, a lot of things that are illicit. And unlike the dollar or the fiat, blockchain is traceable. Oftentimes, and I speak to countries where, they don't think they have a problem with the amount of transactions that are illegal or tainted or dirty in their country, but all of us that have access to tools can tell that they do. However, because they still don't know how the technology works, it's almost sometimes you find there's countries walking around with their pants down, but they're the only ones that don't know it, because they think that this blockchain or this crypto doesn't exist. They can block it with a finger and the sun doesn't exist anymore, but it's still there. So it's important to have very good regulation and supervision for the exchanges. In long-term goal, tokenization is coming to change the financial traditional world. So I think tokenization of real world assets is what's really going to revolutionize this industry.
Yeah, and it's that idea of traceability that's so important to keep in mind when we're talking about that. Yeah. My last question, because we're running out of time. What if we're having this conversation again next year? Hopefully you'll be here again at Blockchain Summit. What would you like to have changed in the world of blockchain technology?
I think the changes are coming. I mean, I look at what Trump is doing in the States and get really inspired by how quickly policy and regulation can change. I mean, it's gone from choke point 2.0, which was no crypto businesses. I mean, I grew up in Canada, and in Canada, I've had bank accounts being audited in the sense of, did you buy crypto? I'm like, yes. and a lot of people have their accounts closed. To what we have now with a precedent that says, you know what? This is an industry that's going to change the world, and we need to get ahead of that. And that only happens through leadership, and say, you know what, we're going to become number one. Once you set that leadership, then the rest follows. The changes of law, the regulation changes, the supervision that needs to be put in place. So it doesn't happen overnight. We realized digital assets was the future in 2021. The president legalized Bitcoin. And from there, it's been a journey that in 2025, 100% focus in trying to lead this industry has taken us 3 years to get to where we're at. So many countries right now are just waking up to the reality that, okay, this is not going away. This is an asset class. How do we become part of it? So I think by next year, when we're having this conversation, I think Ireland and other European countries will have a different view of digital assets and crypto in general.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Juan Carlos.
You're welcome.